Didn't see you there. I'm playing AstroBot, the hit platformer that released just last year from Team Asobi and PlayStation. The AstroBot is a celebration of all things PlayStation and Sony, and it even won Best Game at the Game Awards. To understand why AstroBot is such a triumph, we need to understand where PlayStation and Sony was in the year 2024. In 2020, PlayStation had just released the PlayStation 5 to lukewarm reviews. It was the middle of a pandemic holiday season, and there were scalpers that were buying up the PlayStation 5 left and right and selling it with a ridiculous upcharge. It was difficult for regular people who don't have $2,000 to get a PlayStation 5 because there simply weren't enough of them and scalpers were too quick. People who did buy a PlayStation 5 found that it didn't have a lot of games for the PlayStation 5 specifically. There were a lot of PS4 games that had been imported to the PlayStation 5, but not a lot of new games. Again, let me remind you, this was the pandemic holiday season. PlayStation was approaching its 30th anniversary in 2024 and decided that they needed something new, something exciting, something to get people reinterested in the PlayStation 5 as it had been seen as a lackluster console. Enter AstroBot.
This brings us to how Sony decided to approve the project, and we will look at their actions through the race model. Sony first had to see if people were interested in the Astro franchise, not just as a demo, but as a full-fledged game. The demand was absolutely there. People loved Playroom and would gladly experience more of Team Asobi's Astro World. Though previous Astro games had free demos, would people purchase a full-price Astro game? Absolutely. Research showed people would gladly pay full price for a full-length game in the Astro world. People already associated Astro with PlayStation as well, helping them with their next steps in the race model. Action.
PlayStation was celebrating its 30th anniversary and wanted AstroBot to be the PlayStation game. A celebration of everything PlayStation had built over the years, uplifting all the games that people associate with PlayStation and love. Working with Team Asobi, they made a game that, while congratulating their own brand, was legitimately creative and fun to play. Here's the briefest rundown of the game itself. You are Captain Astro, and you fly your crew of Astrobots around in a PS5 spaceship. A big evil meanie alien comes along and kidnaps the mothership CPU. The mothership crashes on a barren planet, and the rest of its core components and crew are scattered across the galaxies. Astro spends the game flying into levels on a motion-controlled PS5 controller and saving other Astrobots to fully complete levels. Some of these Astrobots are dressed up like characters from famous PlayStation games like The Last of Us, Ratchet & Clank, Bloodborne, Shadow of the Colossus, and Resident Evil. At each of the galaxies, or set of levels, you rescue a VIP bot who is from a more famous Sony franchise. The last level of a galaxy, you get to play through their world with a special new ability. These franchises include Ape Escape, Uncharted, God of War, Loco Roco, and Horizon. The game gets really creative with its concepts and even has some extra hard platforming levels themed around the symbols on the PlayStation controller itself, the X, O, triangle, and square. None of this felt intrusive. While this is a PlayStation game about PlayStation, there would usually only be about 1 to 2 references to PlayStation itself in a level. Importantly, just like the games before it, AstroBot would make full use of every feature the DualShock controllers came with, creating a really fun, unique, and tactile experience.
Once they had a game they felt ready to release to represent their 30th anniversary, they had to communicate this product with the public. The announcement was strangely low-key. It did make big waves because people love AstroBot. On May 30th, 2024, just 4 months from release, PlayStation showed their trailer on their monthly State of Play presentation. The State of Play is a kind of like digital press conference for PlayStation, where they show off upcoming games and PlayStation news. There was certainly some buzz about the game before release, but it became something of a sleeper hit. AstroBot was released on September 6, 2024, and to promote the game, PlayStation partnered with streamers and YouTubers to promote the game. We are going to highlight some clips from RT Games, who was sponsored by PlayStation to make a video.
Welcome to AstroBot. This is PlayStation the game. So I was only sponsored to make a 10-minute long video for AstroBot. But if you've seen the length of this video already, you can see that I've not done a very good job of that. I ended up 100% completing AstroBot and streaming it for 13 hours on my Twitch. This is a supercut of the entire game. And this is my game of the year easily. Team Asobi has done an amazing job with this, and I think if you enjoy platformers or even just the history of video games in general, you should really pick this up. So thank you, PlayStation, for sponsoring this video. If you like what you see here, there's a link in the description below to pick up AstroBot, available now exclusively for PlayStation 5.
As of recording, RT Games video has 1 million views. PR is a mutually beneficial relationship between companies and consumers, and this is a prime example of that. 1 million more eyes saw AstroBots, and RT Games got 1 million views on a video and the ad revenue from it. PlayStation announced AstroBots on their owned media, but the game really took off through paid media. But the game was received so well that it functionally became earned media. The final letter of the race model is evaluation, and when the dust settled, PlayStation could firmly say AstroBot was the best success they could have hoped for. AstroBot has sold 2.3 million copies, and it's the 12th best-selling game on PS5. And that year's Game Award, AstroBot beat out 5 other nominees to become the Game of the Year. PlayStation could proudly say they did not just make PlayStation game, they had released a very, very good game that was simply focused around the PlayStation. The product that could have felt self-congratulatory and tone-deaf was instead a runway success. We must also mention AstroBot is not a $30 game. It is a full-price $70 game, and yet it still has such a warm reception. PlayStation has wisely chosen not to have another AstroBot game made, not yet at least. They squeezed every possible feature out of the PS5, and it would not make sense to have Team Asobi develop a new AstroBot, at least not until the PS6 is released.
So there you have it, AstroBot, a game that went above and beyond to celebrate PlayStation's brand and legacy, becoming not only Game of the Year, but an outstanding and unique example of product publicity. AstroBot continues to show off the features of the PlayStation 5 and celebrate gaming as a whole. Consumers are shown a vision of the future of gaming, a vision presented by PlayStation.